Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are doing wonderfully well. So this is Vihil Vigil. I am a international women's empowerment coach, and I am also a super lover of books and of reading. And this month in the Magistra Book Club, we have been talking all things about girl, wash your face. And what I wanted to do is just take an opportunity to reach out over the course of the weekend. We are lounging, we are finding our us time, our me times. And what I like to do over, the weekend is I really love to read. It's a great opportunity to relax, kind of give your business a time to have a little bit of downtime, to really think about, what are the things that you enjoy doing that are also relaxing. And for me, it's reading books. So I wanted to jump on and go ahead and do the third section of our book club here on a Saturday afternoon, because I thought it would be fun to kind of switch it up. Our final set of chapters will be next Wednesday on our regularly scheduled program. So I wanted to go ahead and mention that. So today we're going to be talking through the third set of chapters. It's chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12. What we've been doing the last two sections is we've been going through 4 chapters a week to see what your thoughts are and what my thoughts were in regards to reading Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. So let's get started. Chapter 9, The Lie. As we discussed previously, if you haven't seen the previous videos, is she begins each chapter with a statement on what is the lie. What is the lie that we always tell ourselves, and how can we dispel those myths that aren't necessarily true, if not true at all? So this one definitely hits close to home. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as somebody who's, always working, balancing time between being a mom, being there for my family, and also building the empowerment empire. Sometimes you feel like you're not a good mom. So chapter 9, the lie is I'm not a good mom. And I really spent some good time on this chapter, and I think that you will really appreciate it and a lot of the things that she says. So first off, it starts at the bottom of page 89. If we're going to talk about how much I struggled as a new mom, then we also have to talk about how much I struggled as a mom in general. My first highlighted section was on the page 92. I am one of the most organized people I have ever met, and even with all of my planning, I am still constantly forgetting things or remembering them at midnight the night before they're due. I am one of those people who sit with a notebook next to my bed where I can flip on the light and go ahead and write down my thoughts so that I can soundly sleep, because otherwise I'm braining about them, just made up a new word, for the duration of the evening, and I'm not able to relax. I'm not able to sleep. So she continues, so this year I made a big decision. I'm over it. I am utterly over the idea of crushing back to school time, which we all just recently experienced, or any other part of school for that matter. I do parts of it very well. Our morning routine might be choreographed chaos, but we are never late to school. My kids, with the exception of the 4-year-old, are well-groomed and well-mannered, and they get good grades. Beyond that, they are good people, the kind of kids who befriend the outcasts and the loners. Sure, they attack each other at home and are dramatic enough about their lack of access to technology or to earn themselves Oscars, but whatever. We are doing pretty good, and pretty good is way better than trying to fake perfection any day of the week. So, as a busy entrepreneur and a busy business owner with a child who is a single mom, I could absolutely relate to this passage. We've gotten much better in 4th grade. It's taken us about 4 years. Kindergarten and preschool, super easy. 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, we were always organized chaos trying to get out the door. I think 4th grade, we've been doing pretty good so far, where we know exactly what we're supposed to do. I've got my routine down. My daughter has her routine down. And we're like this well-oiled team. so that we know exactly what we're supposed to do so we can get out of the house on time, to make it to school on time. So give yourself some grace. Mom, you should parent in whatever way works for your family and spend less time worrying about other people's perceptions of how you're doing. Can we stop being so hard on ourselves and instead focus on the good work we are doing, the results of which are evident in the awesome little people that we are raising? Thank you for that. What if we all went into the next school year with the simple intention of just gracefully doing our best? Can we agree that imperfection is okay? We can walk into the school year and remember that we're raising our children into the adults that they will become. Our valiant effort will take us a lifetime of effort, a single day or a handful of days. When you aren't mom of the century won't make or break your kids. It's the intention to do well that will see them through. It's the lessons in grace and self-care and realistic expectations where you teach them about what you're capable of that will truly serve them later on. Give yourself the permission to do the best you can and the grace to be peaceful on the days when you must miss the mark. I know, as any mom out there knows, that we need to be graceful with ourselves in the morning. We are dealing with our little people, and sometimes they don't want to hurry up. They don't want to, hurry up and eat their breakfast. They don't want to eat their breakfast at all. They can't decide which shoes to wear. Remember, we were there too. And even throughout junior high and high school, I can recall my mom, frustrated to the core that I wasn't ready for school on time or that I was tired and I didn't want to get out of bed. And I think it's really all about understanding where we were in their position and then thinking about where we are now in our positions and finding the grace in the balance. I believe that the very thing that makes me so different now, the company I run, is one of the things that will make me cool when they're older. I tell my daughter all the time, I'm the cool mom, be nice. I hope I'm creating something they'll be proud of. I hope I'm showing them the power of following their dreams and the value of entrepreneurship. I hope so many things for the future, but often those don't help me with today. Page 94. Something that can overwhelm me and make me question whether or not I'm doing any of this correctly. That anxiety I felt when they were first born didn't exactly go away. It manifested and grew like a yeast starter. I have to say, I do appreciate Rachel Hollis's humor. She does tuck it in there on occasion, and sometimes it's overly, obvious, and oftentimes it's very subversive. So I definitely do appreciate that in her writing. So I continue. The only difference between now and then is that I'm better able to see the narrative for the lie that it is. Being a perfect mom is a myth. Being a pretty great mom most of the time is actually possible. Good news. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow you'll count to 10 before you lose your temper, and maybe they'll eat every bite of the dinner you made and say something so hilarious you'll think, man, people without kids are totally missing out. And I oftentimes think that as well. You will experience every kind of day as a mama. You will need to accept the grab bag of good, bad, ugly, awesome, magical, and miserable days as a parent. You don't have to get it right all the time. You don't have to do things like everybody else's mom. You only have to care. And I think as we are so active on social, and Pinterest can sometimes be the devil in the way in which that we need to do things, I think as long as we approach situations with the perspective that we are doing the best we can, we are making the best decisions with the information that we have, you're not doing it wrong. You are doing it the way that you will do it. Not only about them, but also about yourself. You cannot properly take care of your children or teach them how to be whole and happy people if you are miserable and harsh with yourself. This is an underlying tone in her book that I have seen. You have to take care of yourself. It is something that I have talked to my clients on numerous occasions when I am coaching them as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as, a single parent, maybe oftentimes. You have to take care of number one. You have to take care of yourself so that you absolutely have the capacity to be able to take care of your littles. Page 96. It's also a choice. You have to choose not to compare. Don't compare your family to other families or yourself to other women or moms at school. You have to choose not to compare your children either, not to your friends' kids, and most definitely not to each other. I am not saying that you shouldn't strive to improve yourself as a parent. And when it comes to kids, your job is to help them become their best selves. But sister, please, please, please stop allowing your fear of getting it wrong to color every beautiful thing you're doing right. There will be bad days. There will be hard days. There will be days when you're like, nothing is going right. And that's okay. Remember, it's all a learning experience. It's all an opportunity to see what you're doing, how that's panning out, and then how you can sort of tweak it and make it better. Remember, this is about your family, about who you are as a person, how you're raising your children. There's got to be some level of grace. And then, of course, at the end of all of Rachel Hollis's chapters in Girl Wash Your Face are her phenomenal things that helped me. I really appreciate these pages. Number one, I looked at the evidence. She looked at how are her kids actually performing? Is she taken care of? Are the kids taken care of? Are they fed? Are they well behaved? Are they doing well? Are they generally happy? That's your measure. Number two, I made friends with the other moms that you're comparing yourself to. You have no idea maybe what they're going through at home. Make friends with them. Say hello, introduce yourself. If they're not willing to text you back, then they don't text you back. Maybe they're just so busy that they don't have the opportunity to do so. So don't take that kind of stuff personal. Just understand that it's not you. Every family has their dynamic, and sometimes reaching out to another mom is just not in the cards for that day or for that weekend. So give yourself some grace in that. Number three, I focused on quality. When I focus on my energy on them, that's when I feel really content that I'm doing a good job. Chapter 10, the lie. I should be further along by now. Now, I get this a lot when I'm coaching my business clients, women who are in, a certain level of their career, have decided to go into entrepreneurship and to business ownership, and they really feel I should be further along than I am right now. And why aren't I? It must be something, there must be something wrong with me, et cetera, et cetera. And I truly believe in the fact that things will happen for you when they're ready, when you're ready for them to happen for you. Are you prepared? Have you gone through the exercises that you need to be going through so that the things that you truly, truly want you're ready to receive them? These are the kind of questions that you should be asking, not necessarily, beating yourself up for X, Y, and Z reasons. So the first passage that I underlined was on page 104. So for them, birthdays served as a reminder of all the things they hadn't achieved. This is in reference to the women that she had interviewed in regards to why they disliked growing older or what birthdays meant to them. For some women, it was a great occasion. I personally love to celebrate birthdays. It's my jam. Those are the days that I really like to celebrate. New Year's, Halloween, birthdays. So she continues. For some, they fell short of a career or financial goals. Others wanted to be married or have children by a certain age or level in which they were in their careers. They had set themselves on some sort of course long ago, and each year they didn't reach that preconceived destination was a harsh reminder of the promises they were breaking to themselves. So who hasn't fallen for this lie? I can't count the number of times in my life when I've beaten myself up because I thought my goals had expiration dates. As a side note, and she notes, what a downer attitude about a day that is supposed to be filled with buttercream ice cream. In regards to the way some of the women she interviewed were thinking about their birthdays. But ladies, we need to recognize that this mentality doesn't do us any good. We're focusing all of our attention on the absence of something. So what do you have rather than what do you not have? Our own negative self-talk can be more damaging than the emotional abuse heaped on us by a hateful parent, for example. It's also far more insidious because there's nobody there to stop it. Since we rarely even realize it's happening, beating ourselves up about all the things we think we're doing wrong becomes a litany of white noise. Eventually, we don't even hear it anymore. We just accept it. It becomes our norm, and that's not the way to be. Page 107. Eventually, the site became my full-time business, talking about how she continued to build her organization and then really started focusing on the development of her website. Eventually, the site became my full-time business. And as a college dropout with any knowledge of tech or digital media, found myself running a lifestyle media company with fans in the millions. If I'd had the biggest events company in LA with the staff in the millions, I wouldn't have time to write the little blog that would eventually become my career and change the trajectory of my life completely. God has perfect timing. And if you're not a God person, a friend of mine once told me, think of God as this, G-O-D, good, orderly direction. Just some food for thought. Then, page 110. Turns out the most beautiful things in my life were never on my to-do list. Today, there may be things on your to-do list, but you also have a long list of things you have achieved. For my clients, I have them go through this exercise, which is actually not as easy as it might sound, where it's write down the 50 most amazing things about your life. What are the 50 things that you can think of, starting from way back when to where you are today, that you have accomplished that you are proud of? You need to take a moment to do that. So focus on what you have done. Pay attention to the tiny steps you took across the living room carpet on wobbly legs. Celebrate the small moments. They're sacred. Even if they aren't the stepping stones to something else, nothing is more important than today. God has perfect timing, and it's highly possible that by not being where you thought you should be, you will end up exactly where you're meant to go. Things that helped me. Making a list. Now, this is something that I talk to my clients about all the time, is the lists, the book of lists. What is it that you want to do? Where do you want to go? Write it down. Grab your notebooks, take an opportunity to write down, where do you want to go? When do you want to be there? Talking to someone. Number 2. Many times we don't admit to the way we're feeling because we're too embarrassed. But when you have someone you can talk to who will listen to you say, I feel worthless because I'm not a rock star by now, then you can explain the bomb of their validation. Are you kidding me right now? They'll say, look at all the rad things that you've done. You are amazing. Stop being so hard on yourself. And remember, when you keep silent, you give those lies power. So write down the things that you are feeling are keeping you down. And then talk to a business coach, talk to a professional development person, talk to a life coach who will help you really dispel those elements and help you realize they're the fear building up. It's your fear that is getting in the way, that's trying to keep you down. However that fear got there, let's pull it apart and get rid of it. And number 3, setting goals, not time limits. I love goals. They can help you become your best self, but the big dream shouldn't have expiration dates. As long as you're working towards the things you hope to accomplish, it shouldn't matter if it takes you a month or a decade. Now we'll pause right there for a moment and talk about that. Oftentimes when I speak with my clients, we are goal establishing. We are reverse engineering action plans to take every single day so that you can get to accomplishing those big goals in a matter of 4 weeks, 6 months, etc. If life happens and if things come into play that derail you from your timeline, that doesn't mean the timeline has to just cease. What it means is you had to take a detour to learn something new or to experience something new, where it be rather with your children, your spouse, your partners, your life, your business. It happened for a reason. So don't beat yourself up over it. Live through it, work through it, and keep moving forward. All right, chapter 11, the lie. Other people's kids are so much cleaner, better organized, and more polite. This is definitely one of those chapters where a lot of lights were opened, a lot of aha moments happened. So I'll begin on page 114. I find myself thinking, Lord, how do you expect me to speak about anything if I never get a moment's peace? I'm running around here like my hair is on fire and you're asking me to share wisdom with other women. You want me to talk about my faith and I'm so tired I can't even spell faith. Relate much? And I hear that still small voice. That is what I want you to speak about. Talk about your struggles. Don't let them bury you. Don't let them put you into a closet. Don't let them put you into the dark. Talk about those struggles, dispel them, break them down piece by piece and share them with your crowd, share them with your network. Because if you're feeling this way, someone else is also feeling this way. And imagine how much easier it's going to be to get through that darkness and that storm when you have a sister, when you have a partner who you can share the experience with. So this is probably the impetus for most, if not all, the things I've ever done that resonated with other women and were there for successful. I was struggling, and rather than try and sugarcoat it or pretend it wasn't happening, I simply acknowledged my struggles in my work. So I'm not talking about finding your peace. I'm going to talk about embracing your chaos. As I run a lifestyle media company that specializes in creating content for women, the tentpole of that company is the website. And every day, a large fan base of ladies from all over the world checks in to figure out what to make for dinner, etc. Every single bit of work I do is created to help make women's lives easier. Ironically, I think embracing chaos might be the path to finding peace. If the chaos isn't going to go away, embrace it. Every single one of us lives in chaos and we handle it in one of 3 ways. Number 1, we ignore it. The problem with ignoring your chaos is that chaos by nature is incredibly stressful. It's going to disrupt your regularly scheduled program. So don't fight it. Realize it for what it is. Take a step back, look at the situation, and then devise a clear strategy on how to get through it. Number 2, we battle it. Typically, we battle chaos in a completely different field from the one that we really need to address. So in response to our relationships being stressful, we might clean the kitchen. We clean the kitchen again. We brush our kids' hairs and we wipe their faces and cry when they get ketchup on their clothes. We do everything in our power to have a picture perfect existence because maybe then the inside will match the outside. And the third way that we may handle chaos, as Rachel Hollis notes, is number 3, we drown in it. We get overwhelmed by housework, regularly work, family, and friends. The stressful things become all we see. It becomes insurmountable no matter what we do. And skipping over a couple of lines, sister, you are stronger than this. You've got babies to raise and bills to pay and a life to live. And you can't do that if you're hiding under the covers. After all, page 118, the driving force behind this book is to remind you that you are in control of yourself, but you cannot control the actions of others. your kids having a meltdown, the baby having a blowout at Target. Personally, I was at the Apple store. Y'all ever gone to the Apple store? My daughter was not walking and we had a massive blowout at the Apple store, and we had to spend so much time in the bathroom. They don't have baby changing tables in the bathroom at the Apple store. Take note. So I had to use her giant stroller, which fortunately I had, and I covered it with all kinds of papers. And, you know, we took care of it. We used some sink water. We got her cleaned up. And then we still waited another hour. And then we finally got our electronics and we were able to leave. But mamas, we all know those inopportune moments that blowouts happen. So there was another option. One people rarely cling to, and that is embrace the madness. Interestingly enough, the people I know who do this best are the ones who live, or the ones whose lives are the most chaotic at all, because they've gotten to the point where they are used to living within the chaos. And that's when your problem-solving brain totally kicks in. Embrace that problem-solving brain. It will get you through so many different situations. All right, page 119. So maybe you're reading this and you're thinking, okay, I'm in. I get it. Let's embrace this chaotic life, but how in the heck do I do that? And again, I think Rachel Hollis and I are soul sisters on the grace, because again, she states, start by giving yourself some grace. But you know what? Tomorrow is another day and another chance to try again. Take a breath, find humor in the situation, and force yourself to look for it, even when it's not immediately evident. It's going to get crazy out there, sisters. Handle it with grace. And know that tomorrow is a new day. Page 120. I also encourage myself and you to look for the fruits of the Spirit. For those of you who didn't grow up singing them on kids' worship music tape before breakfast each morning like I did, personally, I did not. The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, patience, peace, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. All of these are incredible values, but I believe there's always one we need the most in particular. Don't forget to take a break, take care of yourself, go on a date, or get your nails done. Take some time just for you to refill your cup. You'll be better able to embrace all the madness when you step back inside of it. Find a tribe of people who are similar in a walk of life as you are. Once you find them, be honest where you are and what you're struggling with. Learn to ask for help, and when someone offers it, accept it. Accept any and all help you can get and consider it a gift. I cannot tell you how many women ask me how I do it all. And when I tell them that I've learned to ask for help, they look at me as if I'm an alien. It's hard sometimes because we want to seem like we've got it all together. Like we can handle all of the things, but it's just like in your business. If you're a business owner or you're an entrepreneur, you quickly realize that you cannot do it all. You cannot be the attorney and the accountant and the web designer, et cetera, et cetera. So like you do in your business, talk to someone who has experience in the area in which that you are struggling with. And then of course, page 123, the things that helped me. Number one, friends like me. Meaning friends who were newly married when I was newly married. Friends who are entrepreneurs because I'm an entrepreneur. Friends who are working moms or boy moms or have kids at similar ages. They're all lifesavers. Find the moms, find the women that are your sisters, that are your sister tribe members, and make them your friends. And take an opportunity to connect with them and spend time with them. Number two, priorities. You can keep a house clean, or you can start a company, or you can stay at home with the baby, or build a slamming bod from workout 7 days a week. But I don't think you can have all of those at the same time, or at least not in the same increments. And I think that's something that we all struggle with. We want to continue to go to the gym at all times. We want to continue to make all of our own home cooked food. We want to do all the things. And sometimes we need to realize if we're going to spread ourselves so thin, we're not going to do any of those things well. So pick and choose, organize your time, do it in a way that's not overwhelming, but you're still able to accomplish a piece of those goals. Number 3, this is hilarious, boxed wine. Girlfriends, you know, I have a great love for wine and I will never buy boxed wine. Okay, I'm kidding. Thank you, Rachel Hollis. Well, slightly kidding. I do think you should have something that helps you unwind. Running, watching HGTV, or baking might be the thing for you, no matter what. Find something in your life that feels like a treat or an indulgence. When you're feeling extra frazzled, you should be able to go to your happy place and reset. Girl, pour yourself a glass of bourbon and relax. All right. The final chapter for today, for this review of Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, is chapter number 12. I need to make myself smaller. So we've gone through chapters that are talking about, you know, where we think we should be, how we think we should stand up to or level to other women in our position. We just got done talking about, you know, how other people's kids are so much cleaner, or so much, you know, the way in which that you would expect your children to behave and what that's like. Now we're going to talk about you. How I need to make myself smaller is the lie for chapter number 12. Page 126. Then he asked the follow-up question that changed everything. Who did you have to be for them? The question was, which parent do you crave love from more? Meaning, what did you believe as a child that you needed to do to receive the parent's love? Besides that, the man on stage asked, what else did you have to be? My response was small. For those of you who I'm sure can relate to this, when you have your big giant dreams that are absolutely different from those in which that your parents lived through or lived with, you oftentimes feel like you have to diminish them. You have to make yourself smaller so you're not so intimidating, so you're not so different, so you're not so odd. I know what that is like. I wouldn't be who I am if it were not for my childhood. I wouldn't be where I am without the work ethic instilled by my father, she writes. Digging into the whys of how I became as an adult are what make me able to overcome unhealthy habits. Never mind that the website gets millions of visitors a month, or that I'm an author and public speaker while also raising babies. It feels boastful to mention those things. It feels like I might make you uncomfortable if I speak about them. A larger part of why I don't want to be boastful is because I learned a long time ago that I was a little girl. A little girl who had no clue what she was talking about. Being big while also being small is an impossible task for anyone. As I sat at the conference that day, I understood how that dilemma had colored so much of who I had become. I worried that we would disappoint our clients. I worried that we would fail. I worried that I wasn't smart enough to lead the team into new territory. And it's hard to write this down because I spent so much time telling other women to chase their dreams. And if you had asked me, of course, I would have told you that we were daring ourselves to grow by leaps and bounds. But when I took a real look at my life and my company, I recognized the truth. I was making myself small. I was performing just enough to gain your attention, but not truly being myself for fear of what everyone else might think. So who am I really? This is like a soapbox opportunity to get it out, to understand that as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you're already not following the rules. As a woman who has decided to branch out and do her own thing and not work for someone else and not get married and have a bunch of children and live a traditional life, though that is absolutely okay. But if you're not, and even if you did, and now you're starting a business, we're not the norm. And that's okay. I am a wife, I am a mother. I also dream of being a true media mogul. I am working to grow my lifestyle media agency to incredible heights. I have so many goals and dreams for myself, and not one of them is small. They're big and they're wild and they're full of hope. So what are those dreams that you have that are big and wild and full of hope? I want you to write them down and put them on big pieces of paper. And I want you to like tape them all over your walls. I was about to say glue them all over your walls. You could do that too, but tape them all over your walls. Put them on your vision boards. Put them on your dry erase boards that you look at every day. Get them on a sticky and put them on your refrigerator. This is what occurred to me at the conference that day. I cannot continue to live as half of myself simply because it's hard for others to handle me. I was at another conference just a few weeks ago, and when I saw this playing out in other women around me, 400 inspiring entrepreneur-minded women, and I kept hearing them saying the same things over and over again. Well, this is just a hobby. This is just something I do on the side. My job is being a mom, but this is a great side gig. It made me realize I am not the only woman who is making herself small to make others feel comfortable. Women working sometimes have to fight their way through patriarchal systems. It makes me wonder how many women are walking around living in half of their personality, and in doing so, denying who their creator made them to be. You are complicated and you are complex and you are difficult and challenging because that's who you're supposed to be. You don't have to make yourself small to fit in someone else's box. Be you. Have you spent life muting yourself for fear of what others will think? Are you an entrepreneur who calls your business a hobby because you worry what your mother-in-law will say, or because it's safer to keep everyone's expectations low? You'll never do better or be better than you are right now because of your family of origin. Is this a lie that you believe? Do you hesitate to admit your dreams aloud because you're nervous about others making fun of you or judging you for your choices? Girl, stop. I will not consent to the belief that having a mother with a full-time job means that she's not loved and well cared for. I will not set her up to believing that having a career or not has anything to do with how much she's committed to her partner or how much she loves her children, should she choose to have either. I will not tell her that a man's work is only out in the world or that a woman's work is inside the home. She's talking about her daughter that she has. If she chooses to stay at home, then we will support her with all our hearts, but we will never teach her that there's only one kind of woman to be. This is important because her brothers will be told by society that their options are endless, and she will be shown by media that her world is limitless. I know this for many reasons, but mostly because her daddy had never one time been asked if he feels guilty for having a job. As she grows, my daughter will learn things out in the world that I wish she didn't. I cannot control that, but I can control the kind of woman I set as an example. There are hundreds of ways to lose yourself, but the easiest one of them is refusing to acknowledge who you truly are in the first place. The real you is not an accident. You should not have to make yourself small to fit in. Be you to the core. Those dreams you have for yourself are not silly. We're on page 132. Don't let someone else's opinion of you determine your worth. Don't miss out on the chance to live the life of incredible possibility in front of you. You were not made to be small. You are not a little girl. You are a grown woman, and it's time you grew up, become exactly what God or your higher power or whoever it is that you believe calls you to be. I loved this chapter. We end with things that happened to, or things that helped me. And number one, a willingness to offend. Hard for a lot of us because we want to be demure, we want to be polite, we want to be respectful. But number one, a willingness to offend. I don't mean offend as in tell a bunch of yo mama jokes. I mean, embrace the idea that not everyone can understand or approve of you, including those closest to you. If you're a people pleaser like I was, this is especially hard because my instinct is to ensure that everyone likes me at all times. So I decided to get out of my own way and stop focusing so much on what anyone else thought. Number 2, a bold statement. For me, it was a tattoo. For Rachel Hollis, it was one. For me, it was a lot. I'd secretly wanted one for years, but I was worried about what others would think. Every single aspect of our persona, no matter how long we've rocked it, is a choice we make every day. This was a massive eye-opener for me. And as odd as it sounds, when I realized this and it hit me right between the eyes, the very first thought I had was, I'm getting a wrist tattoo. Number 3, an encounter with a guru. Many times I need the insight of a podcast, a book, or a conference to gain perspective. I can absolutely relate to that. And I love my conferences and gatherings, which is thus why we always do the quarterly Business Women of Diversity Power Luncheon. And I'm going to throw it out there and do a plug. October 15th in Las Vegas, we're having our fall power luncheon at the Mandalay Bay in conjunction with the International Association of Women's Influencer Gala. So I hope you are there. And finally, you may not adopt every word of what you hear or read, but you'll certainly garner a bit of wisdom to help you with your season. Thank you, Rachel Hollis. When I first decided to adopt Girl Wash Your Face as our Magistra Book Club selection, it was truly because there was so much banter about how she was this or how she was that, how she was full of herself and all she did was brag throughout her book. But you know what, honestly, there's some really great insights. I have been really enjoying her book. It's definitely something that I haven't experienced in a while. I read a lot of books and oftentimes I will skim through those books and I will go from chapter to chapter. I'll read the last chapter first. And with this book, with Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, I have been reading every single word, every single line, every chapter, every page, because I can relate to it. I feel like there's humor. It keeps me going. It keeps me interested. I laugh sometimes at the humor that she puts in it. And I absolutely empathize with where she's at. So if you're looking for a good book and you haven't already picked up Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, I recommend it. I've absolutely enjoyed it. It's hilarious. It's insightful. It's encouraging. And it kind of puts the mirror up in front of your face, which is something we always need. We always need to happen. So thank you so much for session 3 of our Magistra Book Club's review of Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. We'll be meeting you again on Wednesday next week as we go through chapters 13, 14, 15, and 16. And we will be wrapping up the week after. So each week we're doing 4 chapters. We're talking about them, reviewing them. So please post your comments, like our Facebook page, subscribe so that you're able to catch all of the awesome things by the Empowerment Empire and by yours truly, Miss Vihil Vigil. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you all again very soon.